Welcome back, Trailblazers. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to take a moment to talk about a tool that has completely transformed the way I plan and navigate my hikes, AllTrails Plus. As a Trailheads ambassador and the organizer of the Yakima Valley Trekkers, I'm out on the trails a lot. One of my favorite features of AllTrails Plus is the ability to edit and create my own maps. Conditions change, fallen trees, washed out sections, or even a last-minute reroute. And with AllTrails Plus, I can adjust my route on the fly and share it with others so everyone stays informed and safe. AllTrails Plus also gives you offline maps, wrong turn alerts, and 3D trail previews to help you stay on track and make the most of your adventure. And the best part, you can get 30% off an AllTrails Plus membership with my exclusive link in the episode show notes. So whether you're planning your next big trek or just looking for a new trail to explore, AllTrails Plus has you covered. Check it out and let's hit the trail. Welcome to the Season 13 of the Hikes and Mikes podcast. I'm your host, Ivan, and each week we're hitting the trail through conversations with extraordinary hikers from across the United States and beyond. Winter brings its own kind of magic to the outdoors. Quiet forests dusted in snow, frosty ridgelines glowing in soft morning light, and trails that ask us to slow down, bundle up, and move with intention. This season, I've had the privilege of sitting down with hikers whose stories reflect the same sense of resilience and wonder. From snow-covered summit pushes and cold weather camping lessons to mindful miles on peaceful winter trails, their voices remind us that adventure doesn't hibernate, it simply changes shape. So zip up your puffy, pour something warm into your mug, and get ready. Season 13 is here, and the conversations ahead are as bold, reflective, and inspiring as the winter landscape we love. In this episode of Hikes and Mikes, we're joined by Angela and Russ, an Alberta-based outdoor couple who live just outside the Canadian Rockies and spend all 4 seasons immersed in Banff, Kananaskis, Canmore, and beyond. After first connecting on the trail in Banff, this conversation dives deep into what it truly means to live, hike, and adventure in one of the most iconic mountain regions in the world. Angela, born and raised in Calgary with the Rockies always on the horizon, shares how early family trips and a formative time spent hiking in the Alps shaped her lifelong connection to the outdoors. Russ reflects on how moving to Calgary transformed hiking from a casual pastime into a way of life, expanding into wildlife awareness and year-round mountain pursuits like snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, winter hiking, and mountain biking. Together, they explain how the outdoors became more than recreation, it became home. We talk candidly about Banff's popularity boom, how they balance iconic locations like Lake Louise, Moraine Lake, and Larch Valley with quieter, lesser-known routes, and why Kananaskis country may be one of the most underrated hiking destinations in Alberta. Angela and Russ also share insider tips on timing larch season, navigating shuttle systems, and avoiding crowds without missing the magic. Wildlife encounters take center stage, from grizzly bears near the iconic Banff sign to bobcats and lynx wandering through their neighborhood, sparking real-world conversations about bear spray, distance, preparedness, and staying calm in bear country. We also explore uniquely Canadian adventures like bike rafting, where mountain biking meets packable rafts, and winter hikes to the ink pots, where geothermal pools steam against snowy backdrops. This conversation stretches beyond Canada to Iceland, upcoming plans for the Tour de Mont Blanc, and the highly anticipated Mount Robson and Berg Lake backpacking trip, highlighting how global travel deepens appreciation for the landscapes at home. Without further ado, let's jump into this episode with our guests, Angela and Russ. Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of the Hikes and Mikes podcast. I have a really exciting duo with me today. I actually got a chance to meet them in person when I went up to Banff in September of 2025, and that's how we connected. Their names are Angela and Russ, and they're going to be sharing about a place that's very dear to my heart, and that's the Canadian Rockies. Angela and Russ, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Really excited to record this episode with you both, but we always like to start off by having our guests share a little bit about themselves and how they got started hiking.
Yeah, we wanted to say it was really nice meeting you out there, and thank you for having us on your podcast. I'm Angela. I was born and raised in Calgary, so I've been close to the Rockies my whole entire life. I can see them from my house, and we just absolutely love being in and around here. Growing up, my parents had a place on Columbia Lake. It was a little shack actually, that we built. And every weekend or every second weekend, we would go out there and we would just enjoy the outdoors. That's one of the things that I truly love about being outdoors is making connections with my family and having all of these adventures.
Hello, I'm Russ. Thanks for having us. So I wasn't as fortunate as growing up this close to the Rockies. I was born in Edmonton, and you would, make a trek down to Banff from Edmonton maybe once or twice a year. And having moved down to Calgary in 2008, I was very fortunate to have this playground right within an hour from our house. And it was really Angela that opened my eyes for the adventures that are on our doorsteps. And I feel very fortunate. There's so many different things that we do. We mountain bike, we fat bike, we cross-country ski, we downhill ski, we snowshoe. We pretty much do every season in the Rockies. And I think that, we're just so fortunate to have something like that around us all the time.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to speak about not just hiking, but some of the other activities that you guys are able to do there in the Rockies. I'm interested in hearing if for you guys, there was a moment where going out to the outdoors was something leisurely that you would do, but then turned to a way of life. Was there like a first hike or maybe season that really hooked you there in the Rockies?
Yeah, I guess for myself, growing up again close to the Rockies, the main thing for us would just be hiking or skiing. However, when I was in my early 20s, I was fortunate enough to be able to go backpacking across Europe for 4 months, and I ended up in Switzerland. And just in the Alps, I felt like home and I missed Calgary. So shortly after that, it was my goal just to be outside as often as I could be, whether it was again hiking or skiing. But later on, when I met Russ, we dived into more mountain biking or cross-country skiing. But I guess there wasn't one hike per se for myself, but the season that I truly love is fall. I love the colors. I love the fact that there's no bugs when I'm out and about. It's just so peaceful, and there's actually less tourists on the trails at that time. So it's one of my favorite seasons out there.
So for me, my mom's very entertaining with the outdoors. So she comes and visits us. We take her to Banff, and she feels that she could get eaten by a bear on Main Street. And so growing up in the household that you were that scared of a bear, for me, it was the moment that I was actually enjoying the hike and not worrying about what was in the bush that was going to eat me. And I find that now when I go out, it's all the wonderful things that are around me. I'm no longer worrying about those other things that are going on in your head. So it's just that moment of quietness and reflection and getting that break to just truly enjoy the moment.
So the winter?
Well, I do like the winter better because there is less bears.
That's one funny thing, guys. I've been to Banff now twice, and it's one of those things where I would love to see a bear from a safe distance, but have yet to get the chance to do it. But the beauty there, it's not even on the forefront of my mind. I'm just admiring everything that Banff has to offer. And I know, you have to be prepared, but I love what you said, Russ, that you're able to enjoy the scenery and not necessarily be worried about whether it's a bear or any other animal that's coming out of the bush. Now, guys, one thing that I love about the content that you're sharing on Instagram is that your content is so grounded. You're sharing real trail stories, quiet moments. Was that always intentional, or is that something that you guys found over time?
I think initially we actually started up the Instagram this summer when we were in Europe. And one of the reasons is we thought about it would be good to review some of the equipment or some of the pieces that we were wearing. However, once we started, it quickly shifted to just our moments on the trail and what we truly loved about Banff for the outdoors. And whether we were mountain biking, or most of it the summer was mountain biking and hiking, we really enjoyed that piece. And whether it was the quietness of the place that we went to, or again, the trail that we were on, or trying new trails, it just kind of lended more towards that.
And I think, we've been fortunate because we have got to travel a little bit. And I reflect on Banff within that, and you think the world shows up here. And, we're very fortunate to have such easy access to it. And so to us, it's about sharing that gem that we have available. And Angela shares, where the hike is or how to access it. And I think that's so important because, it just gives those people that are coming to Banff a different opportunity. And some of the things that we do try and share are not the mainstream hikes that, everybody else is doing. We definitely will hit the highs, but we also include some of the gems and just giving the scenery that's available, right? There's so many hikes and trails available to you that the 10 that show up as the top list of you must hike doesn't necessarily mean they're the best hikes. It just, those are the ones that constantly get the reviews.
Yeah, I gotta say that by following you guys, my list on Google Maps of Banff has expanded by like at least 300%. Because what I notice is like, especially in Banff or in other popular hiking destinations, the top 10 list stays the same from creator to creator. But you guys were sharing some gems that were, you know, all different types of levels from easy to moderate to hard. And some of the places that are outside of the park, but very Banff adjacent, which definitely are on my radar for my next trip. Definitely want to hit the provincial parks that are in and around Banff.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people actually miss out on Kananaskis or even the small town of Canmore right outside of Banff. Like Canmore is 20 minutes outside of Banff, and a lot of people miss that. And there's beautiful mountains and mountain ranges in and around there that are just as beautiful, if not more beautiful, than some of the places in Banff and Lake Louise.
And I think more of the Calgary local will actually go to Kananaskis.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first range that they'll hit. And it's quite a big park with an extensive amount of hikes. And I think, you know, that's where Calgary is probably doing more of its hiking, and the tourists are probably doing more Banff, Lake Louise type hiking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think Kananaskis definitely has at least 10 to 15 different trails that are on my Google Maps feed. And I hear that's the place, if you really want to see wildlife, that's the place to go. Is that right?
That and Jasper.
Yes.
Jasper's really big as well.
Yeah. We've seen lots of wildlife throughout the parks, and it depends on what you want to see, right? A lot of my English friends are always saying, oh, they'd like to see a bear. You know, you'll see them definitely in Kananaskis. We saw two grizzlies this summer that were probably 500 feet from the Banff sign that were back on a trail that's behind there. That's, you know, is a little loop. And there was two grizzly cubs, let's say, that were just probably 100 feet from us.
Yeah. And it was actually kind of funny because during that time, this was just a little loop in Banff. And there's these boys that stopped and they're like, I'm like, what are you guys looking at? They're like, oh, there's a bear right there. And we're like, oh, no, there isn't. There's just, you know, two teenage boys or three teenage boys. And then we just walked down a little bit further and we looked back and we're like, yep, they're there.
Oh my gosh. And that was at the old Banff sign location, right?
Yeah, correct.
And that's really heavily like trafficked.
Yeah. And that actually probably leads to, like, if you're walking on a trail in those areas, you should have bear spray with you. And when we came off the trail, there were so many tours that were heading into that trail, and I was stopping them and saying, look at it, like, if you don't have bear spray, then this maybe is not the right time to go do that hike right now, because there is two grizzlies back there. And we've had that lots. Like, we did a family hike that, as I like to call it, I convinced Ange that
family hike.
We should just do this hike because I didn't want to do much that day, and we were just going to take the dog up. And most of the families in Canmore will go up this hike, and it's probably 3 kilometers long. And
Grassy Lakes.
Yeah, it was Grassy Lakes. And a mother bear and a cub dropped onto the trail. And the trail was almost like a highway of people going up and down. And they, you know, again, I turned around and took the dog out of there. Didn't want to disrupt the mom. But all the people that I was meeting on the way down, I was like, none of them had bear spray. And I was telling them, look, there's a bear on the trail. And they either decided to go up and look at the bear, with or without bear spray, or take their kids and turn around and go back to their cars. So it was an interesting interaction it was 50-50 on what people decided to do.
That is wild. I guess it's one of those things that you got to be at the right place at the right time for some of those wildlife, right?
Well, there was one time when we were on Upper Kananaskis Lake. I was with our son, and we were about halfway around Upper Kananaskis Lake. And I had heard earlier that there could have been a bear on it, but we were too far forward to go back. And so I just took out my bear spray and I'm like, Miles, just keep walking. And then all of a sudden I'm like, just look to your right as we're walking. And there was the mom and cub right there on the right-hand side.
Going back to the content, guys, that you've been able to share on Instagram on Outdoor Odyssey. Angela, you know, you're typically in the forefront of a lot of the reels, but I got to see a glimpse of Russ and his role on Larch Valley when we met up. But for you, Russ, can you kind of share with our listeners, what's your role in the content creation? Are you the route planner? I know that you're a little bit of the photographer. And then also, are you the guy that's like, let's send it on some of these harder hikes?
So realistically, she's the one, let's send it. I'm probably the more sane voice saying, are you sure we should be doing that? But, I think for my role is more probably, adding maybe some flair to maybe let's try this or try that when we do a photo.
He's more artistic.
Yeah, for the most part, I'm just support. So I get the benefit that we had this summer because we were focused a bit more on it is we just were out way more. And so we both benefited from kind of getting to immerse ourselves more in it because we were trying to, really showcase the world we live in. And it was exciting. And every weekend we were out on a new adventure. And we've already got a long list of stuff that we can't get into right now because of the snow, that when it opens up, we're going to go back out and take shots again. So I think I play more the sport role than anything.
And I think you guys had mentioned when we came across you on the trail that was either the second or third time you'd been to Larch Valley. So you'd kind of seen the progression of the color. Was that the first time where you guys have done it multiple times to see that progression?
In the year, yeah, because we had done it a couple of years earlier.
Yeah.
But in 1 year, I think we went out there, was it 3 times this year?
Yeah.
And we were lucky because it's actually quite difficult to get onto that hike, especially now. You used to be able to drive up to Moraine Lake, and we now have to take the bus out there. And either you have to get up 2 days, like you have to try and book it 2 days earlier. So get up at 7:55 or 7:45 and try and book it at 8 o'clock. It just happened that we were really lucky and I was able to book it for those 3 times to get out there. But I know a lot of people have had a lot of hard times like getting out there. It's hard to book it.
Even in before, it was always kind of the busiest time in the valley, even more than probably, midsummer, because all of Calgary's so easy can access it and they know what it's happening. But I think this year, the reason why we went 3 times was because we were showcasing it. We just wanted to show it at its best. And so that's why we kept going week after week. It was interesting to see it that close together because we kind of saw it on the verge. Then we saw it probably in its optimum time. And then we kind of went almost too late, where it was the needles were falling. And so it was actually really an interesting perspective to get those 3 kind of shots.
And for me, like, we have larches here in in Washington, but I've never seen that many in a densely populated area. There's thousands upon thousands, and I'm already looking for my return trip.
And in all honesty, if you head to Kananaskis, you would see almost the exact same without the trouble of having to take a bus. There's so many larches out there and great routes that I think people are missing, that it's definitely worth a shot to go out there.
Oh, definitely, because I think we experienced the same thing. We weren't able to get the shuttle tickets, when they were released in April, I believe. So we had to do the 48-hour tickets, and I didn't get them. Luckily, my producer, Jordan, was able to get the tickets for both Lake Louise and Moraine Lake. And I know that it's one of those big lottery things where either people get it, people don't. But for you guys that have been able to see it year after year, what would you say is like a good window of time in September and October to hit the large colors?
That's really interesting because it actually changes almost every year. It just depends on the weather and the snow, but anywhere really probably between middle September to middle of October is what I would say.
Yeah. I would say, like, if I had to plan a trip and hope for the best, I would say kind of that last week of September would be kind of where I would.
It's always on your birthday.
If I have to guess, yes. So right. We usually end up there around my birthday, and that's kind of the last week of September. And for the most part, the larches are usually out.
Yeah, I think we did the last week of September, and that's what I'm eyeing again for 2026. Now, one place that I think you guys will agree is one of your favorite hikes is the scenic forest to Ink Pots via Moose Meadows. What makes this route special for you guys, and what do you wish people knew before they go?
One of the reasons why this is really special is we absolutely love it. We've been there in the summertime. We've been in there in the wintertime. The best time for us for the ink pots is the wintertime. It's just one of the ones that we always go back to. It's not too strenuous. It's about 11 kilometers altogether, so it's not too hard. One of the things I would definitely say is go earlier than later. It's interesting because a lot of the times we go fairly early, and on the way back, we meet up with a lot of people who are starting out, and we're just like, it's just too late. We don't understand it. So I think that's one of our favorites.
Yeah. I think what makes it so special in the winter is it does have hot pools at the end, hence the name, the ink pots, which won't freeze in the winter. So when you're back there, you've got steam coming off the water. You've got a beautiful mountain line around. You're in a second valley from where you started. And it's just very peaceful and quiet. I think with having the hot pools kind of giving off the steam, it's just, you don't really understand that component of it in the summer. They look like a normal pool. If you pay close attention, you can see that they're bubbling at the bottom. But for the most part, I think people would not really truly understand how spectacular that area is.
Yeah, that's one thing that surprised me from this last visit and researching is just the amount of hot springs and pools that are in and around the park. For me, back in the day, I knew about the hot springs resort in Banff that basically is like a community pool, but there's so many natural pools that you can hike to and reach. So definitely something people should look out for. Now, much like any popular outdoor space, I feel like Banff over the last 10 years has really exploded in popularity. For me, it was still a magical experience. I think because we came so late in September, the crowds weren't as bad as peak summer season. But for you guys that have the opportunity to go there on a weekend or on a free day, how do you balance visiting those iconic spots like Lake Louise with other hidden corners of the park that you love?
It's interesting because my aunt and uncle came out actually this summer. So we were trying to take them to those iconic spots like Johnson Canyon and some of the other
We
ones.
sent them into Moraine Lake and stuff.
Yeah. So I can completely understand that. I guess for us, if we want to go to those spots, then we just kind of wait for the shoulder season. I think it's a special place. Actually, on Johnson Canyon, maybe a month after my aunt and uncle were there, we have a bear called the Boss, and it actually came walking down the trail. What an experience for the people to be able to see. So
yeah, and I think, you know what, I think the thing that's interesting about all the tourists that come is that it really brings the world here. So you're walking down Main Street, Banff, and you're hearing all the different languages from around the world. And I think it makes you actually appreciate it a bit more that this is an hour drive from your house. And these people have gone through the process of making this their holiday and experiencing what you get to experience. And I think that actually grounds you a little bit more in regards to how much you should appreciate what's there. We do definitely, Kananaskis is usually not populated even in midsummer. So we can go to areas of the park that aren't. The one piece though that I would say is like Lake Louise for me is something that if someone asks where I'm from, I'll show them a picture of Lake Louise. And the reason I do that is, as you know, because you've seen it, when you walk around the corner and the lake opens up in front of you and it's that aqua green and you can see, the ice coming down on the back end of the lake, as your eyes look at it, it's the exact same as what the postcards look like. And there's very few places you can go in the world that, looks like the postcard. And to me, every time I'm there, I appreciate that view.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Russ, because that is so true. People that know the podcast know that I'm extremely colorblind. And Banff is one of the few places I've been able to visit where the pictures that I've seen online don't do it justice, because what I'm seeing in person is just spectacular. And I'm hoping that this year I'm able to get the color correction glasses and see if there's a big change, because even with my current color blindness, it still takes my breath away seeing the turquoise colors. It's truly magical. For you guys don't slow down with the winter season. You snowshoe, you ski. I've always been tempted to go to Banff during the winter season, but for folks that are interested, what are some of your top winter rules or tips when visiting Alberta and the Canadian Rockies?
I kind of touched on it with the last one. I would definitely say layering is really important, as well as making sure that you start the hike early. We start it probably at 10 o'clock. We give it a little bit of a grace time, start it at 10. And then my goal is to never be the last one off of the trail. So if there's anything that happens to me, that someone will always be behind me to be able to help me out. So I definitely keep that close to me. So when I tell people or suggest for people or give them advice, it's to always go early and layer.
Yeah. I think for me, it's, definitely I'll have extra stuff in our backpacks. So if we do get stuck out there, I know that we'll be okay. So I think it's just thinking differently about what's in your pack. And I think the other piece of it is invest in your clothing. Like, people will stay in the nicest hotel ever. And if you took that $200 a night that you would have saved by staying somewhere else, the right jacket, the right clothing will really make a big impact. That stuff's good for life. Like the quality that's out there with some of the companies that are producing stuff nowadays will last you, 15, 20 years. And having the right piece of equipment on your body is probably so important.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I think especially for snowshoeing and those winter activities, controlling your body temperature is so key on your experience. One thing I was wondering, guys, because here in Washington, a lot of the trailheads don't get plowed. Some of them get plowed to a certain point, and then if you really want to reach the trailhead, you have to snowshoe in, and maybe it adds a few more miles. Is that the same in Banff or in and around the Rockies?
No, nothing gets snow plowed. Essentially what happens is because there are a lot of hikers that the snow packs down, so it's really called winter hiking. So as long as you have micro spikes on your boots, then you're typically okay. There's just some hikes though that if you want to go that little bit farther, you definitely want to put the snowshoes on your backpack. An example of that is Taylor Lake.
Yeah.
That one is on my Instagram as well. And beautiful hike. You can do most of it, again, with micro spikes, and it goes right up. So you definitely want your micro spikes to come down. But when you get to a point, you need snowshoes to get all the way to like maybe the last 100 or 200 meters. So not much farther, but for the most part, there's nothing that gets plowed that I know of.
Well, to get to the parking lots, like they do clear everything.
Yes,
so
they do that.
You won't have any problems getting into the parking spots to start the hike. So what it looks like in the summer as your starting point will look very similar as your starting point in the winter.
Now, one piece of content that really caught my attention, because it had two of the things that I look forward to seeing every time I go, is the bear and the turquoise lake. And you caught a bear swimming in a turquoise lake, which was incredible. And you called out filming safely from afar because you were from a distance. How was that experience? And what's your personal wildlife safety framework, whether it's distance, behavior cues, when you leave, or how do you navigate getting that shot without, disturbing the wildlife?
Yeah, I guess like we were really lucky to have that. We were about to go mountain biking that day. And just when we came out of the car, did we notice that there was a bear coming across the lake? So we quickly started taking a video of it. But as you notice, we stopped the video. You don't see where the bear goes once it gets to the edge because we went right back into our car after that. I guess the thing for us is really we have a good zoom on our camera. So we will take the video, but at a distance. And the key for us is really not to interrupt the animals. We do get some good pictures of animals, again, like the elk, the bear, but it's really at a distance for us. We see a lot of tourists, get really close to an elk, like especially a bull elk. And we're like, they just don't understand what could happen to them in a split second. So the key for us is not to interact with them. We do have a smaller dog now, so we make sure that he is safe as well. So
yeah, I think that is the key, is to just stay back. And you can enjoy them from afar, and you'll probably enjoy them more from afar than you would if you got too close. And there's probably just not enough people out there that understand that distance is so important in regards to that interaction.
Here in the Pacific Northwest and along the West Coast, we have black bears. We don't necessarily have grizzlies. I bring an air horn on some of my solo hikes just because I'm more worried about, mountain lion than a black bear. So I always want to make loud noises when I'm solo hiking. For you guys, hiking in the Canadian Rockies with bull elks, with grizzlies, what does your pre-hike checklist look like, both in the summer months and then in the winter months?
Okay, so there's two checklists. There's the Russ checklist, and then there's the Angela checklist. So Angela was going away on a multi-day hike with some ladies, and they were going to do like some top of the mountain stuff, so some ice work. And she had this list that they provided to her, and these are all the things that she needed to take. And so I'm like, that's fine, but you need to take an air horn, you need to take a bear spray, and you need to take like a survival knife.
It was like also a satellite.
Oh yeah, and the satellite phone. So she finished packing, and she said, I think I've got everything on the list in there. And I went around the corner, and all four of those items, which I said need to go in the pack first, were the only four still sitting on the floor. And she's like, I just don't know if there's room in there for that stuff. So my pack would have only those 4 or 5 things. Her pack those are nice to have. So I think it's your level of concern. My concern is always high. So when we're together, we both have them.
Fair enough. It was a course, and I talked to the instructors, and they were bringing all of that as well. So
2 lists.
But we definitely have our sat phone with us,
yeah,
and our bear spray. Those are the two main
on
things.
Every trip.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to pick up just a random can of bear spray at a trailhead because I feel like, especially in a place like Banff where you do have those tourists coming, you can't take it on the plane. So I'm glad people have an exchange, and I know that you can rent bear spray now in several shops.
It's probably the best $40 investment, even if you had to buy it. Yeah, I think you should have it on the trail.
And there's definitely times where I've pulled it out, like when I was again, hiking with Miles doing Upper Kananaskis Lake. I had it out, I had it ready. And as we're walking by the bear, which was maybe 100 feet away, not far at all. Well, maybe even less than. Trying to think meters to feet.
Yeah, you just never know.
And it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Now, one thing that surprised me is I've been lucky. The first time I went to Banff, I got nothing but sunshine all the days that we were there. And then on this last trip, I was keeping an eye on all the reports. I was on the subreddit for Banff, and the pictures leading up to my trip just looked like bluebird days, just beautiful and sunny. And then we arrive. The first day it's cloudy, it's raining, and I was a little worried that we weren't going to see any of the sunshine while we were there, but it ultimately came out on Larch Valley. I know that the Canadian Rockies can shift in weather so quickly. Has there been a moment for you guys when you've gone out and the forecast has, showed maybe a promise of sunshine or good weather, and then the Canadian Rockies said, nope, we're going to throw you a curveball? Do you remember what happened, and maybe what can folks learn from those type of experiences?
Yeah, so there's a saying around here, just wait 30 minutes if you don't like the weather. You can be in the mountains and, you can have hail, you can have rain, you can have snow, you can have a blue sky, all within an hour and a half of being out there. So for us, we always will have rain gear packed with us. We always have the right stuff in our bag. And it's just because it does change and you just got to be prepared for it. I think that's a very real possibility. And also, as you go up, the top of the mountain is always very different than the bottom of the mountains. When you're starting out your day, you might think, oh, this is so nice. But, when you get to the top, there's still snowpack up there. The temperature is cool. And again, if you're not wearing clothing that's breathing and drying, when you get into some of those upper elevations, that starts freezing and starts getting cold. So, you really do have to have the right clothing on, or make sure you have a change of clothes or the right clothes in your backpack.
Yeah, I'd say like one of the ones that really hit home was I was going out hiking with one of my friends, and we left Calgary fairly early, maybe 8 o'clock in the morning, if not earlier. It was blue. We were looking at the reports the night before. That morning it was blue. And then all of a sudden we were driving and it was hailing, it was snowing, and we're looking at each other and we're like, what happened here? And unfortunately, there wasn't a spot on the road where we could just turn around and go back. So we kind of just kept going, slowed right down, see all of the cars going into the ditches, and we pulled off on Kananaskis because that was the first road. And we went to a trail that was one of the closer ones. And by the time we got to the trail, it was beautiful again. It was just a matter of getting through it.
Yeah, I think when we did Lake Louise, it was very similar, Angela, where we ended up going straight from Calgary to Lake Louise. Beautiful sunrise, clear skies. And then I feel like as soon as we crossed the park boundary, the clouds started going. And then the closer we got to Lake Louise, it started downpouring and raining. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be a wet one. But as soon as we got on the shuttle and got to Lake Louise, it stopped. A little bit of sun breaks. It really had like every single type of weather event in an hour and a half.
That's another thing. There's another mountain that's really pretty well known is Mount Rundle, and you probably would have noticed it. It's the one that has like the edge that goes right up and then straight down. It's one of the main ones in Banff, and that's probably a 10 to 12 hour hike. And you have to be really careful on that one because you could start going up and it's really sunny. And if you get to the top and it's cloudy or raining, then it's actually pretty dangerous. They've had to call in a lot of rescue people for that hike. So you just have to be really mindful on what's around.
Now, guys, one thing that really caught my attention on your feed that I'm interested in learning more is that you also go bike rafting, which is such a cool concept. For folks that haven't heard of it, can you share what bike rafting is and what does it actually look like from start to finish?
So there's a specialized raft that is, a packable raft that we just strap to our handlebars of our bike. And so we rode from Canmore towards Banff on some mountain bike trails. And then we ended up entering the river right near Banff. So you can quickly blow up these rafts. They're very lightweight, but they also don't take a lot of air pressure to inflate. And then you
take apart your bike.
Yeah, take your wheel off and you bungee cord your bike to the front of the one-man raft. It's a class 2, class 1 river from there to back to Canmore. And so we just paddled our way back to Canmore down the river with the bike fastened to the raft on the front. It just, adds a different way to see the park, right? So you got the adventure through going through the dirt trails on the mountain bike, and then you get a different view of the park as you float down the river with the bike in tow. And it was a really, really, really great experience. We've also taken the raft up and gone up some other trails on the bikes, and then you'll come up to one of those great aqua blue lakes that are in the mountains. Yeah, in the middle of nowhere, and you're the only one up there. And we've fastened the bikes and then went across the lake and then rode out from there. It just creates another element for you to enjoy the scenery. And it's always a different experience to being on the water than being on your bike or being in your hiking shoes. So it's just a different way to enjoy nature.
And I got to ask, because it doesn't look like it's very heavy, but how many pounds or kilograms?
They're like
5 pounds.
Yeah,
maybe?
if that. Yeah.
Maybe 5 pounds.
Yeah, they're super, super light.
And you can get different levels, and you can get 1 and 2 person ones. But yeah, so you can get them lighter, a little bit heavier. They don't weigh much.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's just kind of fun. We actually did it over COVID. I think we can go somewhere. Yeah. We wanted to try something new, and we came across this and we're like, oh, this would be a really great experience. So,
especially now that I've seen what the prices are to canoe on Lake Louise, Moraine Lake.
Yes.
Yeah, true enough.
Yeah, you could buy one of those.
What are they, $150?
It was crazy how much it is.
Now, one thing that you guys have shared is you enjoy taking friends and family out on the trails. You also go out together as well as do solo adventures. For both of you, what's the best part of adventuring together? And then what's also some fun times when it's just a solo hike?
So I guess the thing for us is it creates amazing memories. It's one that we can look back upon, like even now if we're looking at it, talking about the bike rafting, what a great memory that we both can experience together. So I think for me, it would be the memories that we have shared that is worth it.
And I definitely wouldn't go hiking by myself. So it'd only be Angela that would do that.
I do enjoy hiking by myself just because you can leave when you want to leave. You can go as
quieter.
You can go as far as you want to go, but both have their perks. I don't have to wait so long to leave in the morning.
She doesn't have to carry as much safety items.
A little lighter pack list or load.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you guys have also, explored other places in the globe. And I think one place that is high on a lot of people's list is Iceland. And you've been able to show the amazing landscape that Iceland has to offer. How do those travel adventures change your perspective when you come home? And what's one Iceland lesson that you still carry on the Alberta trails?
So I think Iceland is phenomenal and the scenery is all to itself, right? Like the waterfalls are unbelievable. We put crampons on and head up an ice field. Like we did see a lot of great things there. And I think those types of trips make you appreciate also what's in your backyard because other people are getting to come have those types of experiences in your backyard. And I think that makes you reflect on that a little bit. Right now, we're prepping because this summer we're going to be doing the Tour de Mont Blanc. And again, because we're going on that trip, we want to make sure that we're getting out to our mountains and practicing and getting our hikes in and getting our fitness levels up. So I think it also gives you more opportunity to see the Rocky Mountains as you prepare to go see these other places, right? Because you want to make sure that when you're there, you can do the hikes that you want to do and that you're in the fitness level that you want to be at so that you can see more of it, right? And I think that creates an opportunity to enjoy what you have and reflect on what others have and maybe drive you to go see more things because you know how spectacular and beautiful the world is, right? The future one that we're looking at is going to Antarctica and kayaking and doing some land hikes there. And again, I think it's, if you didn't have the love and the appreciation and get to experience nature like we do, I don't know if those would be on your list to say that's going to be my holiday. Maybe other things are going to be of interest to you and drive you to different experiences. But for us, it creates that want want and that need to go see the rest of the world of nature and what it looks like and what those experiences would be like.
And definitely Iceland had some amazing landscapes, like the waterfalls that we would go up to, unbelievable ones that I don't think we'd ever experience here.
No.
So it's definitely a trip I would recommend for other people to go see.
It's high on my bucket list, and I know for a lot of people, the Tour de Mont Blanc is a trail that is high on a lot of people's list. Can't wait to see the footage that you're able to capture from that trip. Now, one of the regular segments, guys, that we like to do on the podcast is we like to do a deep dive into our guest's Instagram and pull from a specific post or reel. The one that caught my attention, because I've only seen two here in Central Washington, and one was like in mid-fur changing, so it kind of looked a little weird, but you guys were able to see a bobcat. Can you walk us through what happened and how did you safely navigate that moment?
Yeah, for sure. So we're super lucky in Calgary. We live on provincial park called Fish Creek, and within our backyard, we essentially get bobcats, we get coyotes, we get lynxes, deer that come through. It's kind of like a passageway just on the outside of our gates. And it just so happened that we were driving home and we were driving along Fish Creek Park and we saw the bobcat that was walking by. So while Russ was driving, I took a video of it slowly going by, and it just was like wandering along the path or along the sidewalk all the way through.
It was like 4 or 5 houses from here. And we've had like the mother bobcat with 2 babies, bobcats in the backyard. We've had lynxes with babies in the backyard. So
we also have to be very careful because we do have a miniature schnauzer who's about 10 pounds. And one of the times Russ went out, and his name is Zeus, even though he's only 10 pounds. Russ went out with Zeus. Do you want to explain what happened?
Yeah. So if the dog goes outside, it goes on a leash because of all that animal activity. And I think we made it 5 steps out of the yard and there was a lynx just sitting there.
Eating a squirrel.
Enjoying a squirrel. And so him and I quickly dove back in the house, but they are around. So we don't even have to actually go to Banff to see some of this stuff.
Literally in your backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I know that the lynx can be elusive, and I'm wondering, are they bigger or about the same size as a bobcat?
I think it just depends on the lynx.
They were smaller.
Those ones were.
Yeah,
but I do think some lynxes are bigger. You just have to be mindful of the ears, the pointy ears and the tail. But it just depends. This bobcat was quite big.
Yeah, the bobcats are like a thicker type of cat, and the lynxes are a bit more sleek. The one that was in the backyard with the 2 cubs was definitely a lot smaller than the bobcat.
That was it for the regular questions, guys. These last questions are questions that we like to ask all our guests. The first one is, when it comes to regular summit routine, or maybe it's the end of the hike routine, a lot of us like to pack our favorite snack or drink. Others like to have a moment of zen on the trail. And then for a lot of us, it's enjoying that favorite meal afterwards. Is there a regular custom or routine that you like to do when you reach your destination or when you make it back out?
Yeah, so I guess typically I always like to bring a tea, like a matcha is one of my favorite teas. So I'll typically bring a matcha tea with me and sit, whether it's at the summit or the falls or wherever I'm going halfway through the hike, and sit there, have a tea, have a snack, and just enjoy the moment. Sometimes I'll stay there longer, just depending on the weather. But yeah, that's pretty much my routine.
So to me, I'm going to do the Canadian plug here. Mine would be to get a double from Tim Hortons when I'm done. So that's my reward. So it's like a creamy, sugary coffee that, because you've put all those calories on the trail, you can drink one of these, but only in Canada.
So his thing is to get on and off the trail as quickly as you can to get his coffee.
Oh, I love both of those. I think one thing that I wish more places had were the tea houses that Banff is known for, because having a nice tea on a cool fall day just lifts your spirits.
It is a beautiful spot there. Lake Agnes there.
Lake Agnes. And then there's another one that they say isn't as popular, but it's deeper into the valley or closer to the glacier by Lake Louise.
Yeah, we haven't been to that.
Yeah, it's up there.
Valley. I can't remember.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we haven't been to that one.
I will say, Russ, I'm a big fan of Tim Hortons. I'm kind of disappointed that you don't get to roll up the lid or the cup to see if you won. But Timbits, I will say, I am a fan of Timbits.
That alone's going to get everyone to come.
Right. Now, this next one, guys, is about your pack list. And I know we've talked about the different things and the essential items that you bring, but I'm wondering, is there any luxury items that you tend to pack that falls outside of the essentials?
So for me, it was funny because when we were in Iceland, our guide that was with us, he had this really neat wooden cup that was hand carved. And I was asking him where he got it from. And he got it from a friend of his who lived in Finland. And so I just thought it was really something unique and different that was hanging off his pack. We were in Finland this summer. And so I picked one up, and now one of those hangs from my pack. And it's not that you need it. And it's not like you can't drink right out of your own water bottle. But for me, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Iceland. It kind of,
Finland.
Reminds me of other adventures. And I think it's really an interesting piece, and it's natural. So I think it fits on your backpack, but do I need it? No. But it still comes with me.
And we have sat there, poured our tea
yes,
into
true
it.
enough.
I think my main thing that I bring with me is my tea. I think that's my luxury.
Yeah. You're feeling good about it once you have it.
And I know, guys, that you've shared about some upcoming hikes and trips that you have planned, but I'm wondering, are there any other hiking or travel goals that you have for 2026? Anything exciting on the horizon that we should look out for on your Instagram?
Yeah, so in addition to Mont Blanc, which we'll be going later in the summertime, I was also able to book to go to Mount Robson. A friend of mine and myself are going to go, and we're going to hike to Berg Lake, where we're going to stay over a couple of nights and backpack out there. So I'm really looking forward to that, as well as going to Mont Blanc.
But I think we're probably going to have lots of activity because we have to get in shape. Yeah. When we look at the itinerary of the distance that we're going to be traveling every day, I think we're going to have to do a lot of hikes leading up to it. So should be good.
Oh my goodness. Angela, I can't believe you said it. That's one of my goals for 2026 is Mount Robson.
Oh, there you go. If you want to come, we have 3 people. There's only 2 of us.
So I got to ask, because, from my research I was doing, at least the permits I saw, they don't get released until April?
No, so those ones, and it's hard because you wouldn't know that unless you're like really researching and it comes to your forefront. But those came out December 2nd. For Mount Robson. So, but you could keep checking for cancellations unless you want to come with us.
I would be down. That's actually like one of my top bucket list destinations. Yeah, if you guys don't end up filling up all the spots, let me know.
Yeah, for sure, I will.
Now, guys, this is one of my favorite segments to do with couples, and that's the this or that questions. It's the last section of the podcast, and I'm going to give you some hiking-related topics, and you guys just choose which one you prefer out of the 2. You're more than welcome to say both or neither, but the first one is, if you had to choose, would you choose ascending or descending?
I'd go ascending.
I'd probably go descending because I can kind of like run down quicker.
And then this one's going to be a hard one, although I think I know the answer, but Banff is known for having both of these in stunning fashion. But if you had to choose between waterfalls or summits, what would you go with?
I'm wondering what you would think we would go with.
I would think summits.
It's summit for me.
You know what? After Iceland, I would say waterfalls.
Now, in order to reach some of these summits, say you got to the trailhead and there's 2 trails. There's one with just a bunch of switchbacks that led you to the summit, or there was a challenging one that just led you straight up. If you had to choose, which one would you go with, switchbacks or straight up?
So I know for me, like Tent Ridge, there was like some scrambling that was going up it, and I absolutely love that. So I would say if I had scramble on it, I would do that.
I'd go straight up. It just seems like you're prolonging it if you're going back and forth.
He's waiting for his Tim Hortons.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, this next one, guys, is our most controversial one, but trek poles or freehand?
No, trek poles.
Trek poles for sure.
We hiked West Coast Trail about 8 years ago, and that was the first time we tried trek poles, and we've loved them ever since.
Yeah, never would ever hike without them again.
Now, this next one's about your footwear. Are you guys rocking traditional hiking boots or trail runners?
I'm boots. I'm hiking boots all the way.
Yeah, and I do hiking boots also. There's some really lightweight hiking boots out there. And also like a waterproof boot, just because I find you can step in a puddle, you can cross a river, you can do some things that, you're going to encounter, and then your footwear is dry. And it just makes it much more enjoyable. It was actually back to West Coast Trail where the guide that we were with, he said he walks purposefully in a straight line. He doesn't go around the puddles. He goes, it's straight through. And I could appreciate that after multi-days of hiking, that a waterproof boot allows you to pick a different line.
And I also find runners, by the end of it, like after 20 kilometers, I can feel every stone underneath my foot. Where with a boot, I can still go.
Now, guys, these next few are some of our hardest ones. If you had to choose between these two types of trail systems, would you choose a loop trail or an out and back trail?
I would choose a loop.
I would choose an out and back. I always like to know where I am. So to me, it's like as I'm coming down, I'm like, okay, I know exactly how far we have to go and what's in front of us.
Oh, yeah, those switchbacks back from Lurch Valley. He's like, there's 11 switchbacks. We're at number 7 now. And I'm like, I didn't even count them going up.
Now, I know that Banff has both of these in stunning fashion, but sunset hikes or sunrise hikes?
We only get the option for sunrise, just so you know.
I do sunrise. That being said, I did do Lady McDonald as a sunset. And my fear, again, going back with a sunset, if I do something solo, is am I the last person on the trail? So I always try and make sure I'm not that last person.
Now, again, Banff is known for having both of these in stunning fashion as well. So I'm interested in seeing what you guys think. But spring wildflowers or fall colors?
I'm all about the fall.
Yeah, fall for sure. Once you've seen the Lurch Valley, you've seen kind of that gold. You just can't duplicate that.
And I also feel that the bugs are out in the spring more.
True,
very
so the
true.
Mosquitoes or the black flies, they kind of get you a bit more then.
Now, these next two are new for this season. When it comes to your water carrying system, do you guys use water bottles or hydration bladders?
I'm a water bottle.
I'm probably both. It just depends on the hike for me.
And then this next one, you kind of already shared a little bit of it, but if you had to choose between a summit drink or a summit snack, which one would you go with?
I go with both. I want my tea and I want my snack. I always bring a hot lunch. So I'll put a lunch into like a container or something. And then I feel like I have a really nutritious meal out there as well.
So to me, it's the snack. Yeah, for sure.
Any particular snack?
Mine is the exact same 3 things every time. It's a power bar. It's it's oranges and then it's a trail mix with probably some chocolate in it. So.
Well, that was it, guys, for the this or that questions. For folks that want to see more of your content, where are some of the best places they can find you guys online?
Probably really just our Instagram profile is where we document everything. So it's at Outdoor Odyssey CA.
And we'll be sure to add that to the episode show notes so people can follow along. I really recommend our listeners to follow Angela and Russ on Instagram, especially if you're planning a trip to Banff. I know that for a lot of us, especially first time visiting Banff, you want to hit the iconic spots, but if you want some hidden gems, Russ and Angela have your back.
Yeah, and you can definitely reach out and send a message and I can reply to that.
Well, Angela and Russ, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Really look forward to what 2026 has to bring for you guys. And I'm hoping that I get to see you guys in 2026 when I make it back up to the Rockies.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you for having us on. It was really nice speaking with you.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of this episode alongside Angela and Russ. We extend our heartfelt thanks to them for joining us on the podcast. Be sure to follow them on Instagram at Outdoor Odyssey CA. And for more, be sure to check out the episode show notes. This episode of Hikes and Mics was produced by Jordan Smith. Be sure to follow her adventures on Instagram at jordan.journeys. New episodes will drop every Monday throughout the winter hiking season, with the occasional Friday bonus episodes along the way. To make sure you never miss out a moment of these inspiring trail stories, hit that follow or subscribe button. Your support truly keeps the community going through every season. Don't forget to connect with us on Instagram at Hikes and Mics. That's where you'll find behind-the-scenes episode visuals, my own winter hiking adventures, and plenty more to keep the cold weather stoke alive. As we wrap up today's journey, remember, even when the trails are quiet and the mountains are blanketed in snow, the spirit of adventure is still very much alive. So tread those happy trails, stay warm out there, and keep exploring. Until next time, my fellow hikers, happy hiking. This episode's music was created by Ketsa. Follow along with him on Instagram at Ketsa Music. This episode is brought to you by Ursa Minor Outfitters. Folks, I'm absolutely in love with my loon mug. It's handmade, it's an absolute piece of art. Whether it's at the office or at the house, people keep asking to check it out. If you're not a loon fan, they also have other beautiful mugs for wildlife fans of moose, bears, and eagles. They specialize in products highlighting the outdoors and local pride through quality design by local artists. They've even started expanding into items beyond mugs, like apparel, dog accessories, and soon candles and more. They also try to partner and highlight other small businesses, and in some cases, forego profits in lieu of charitable giving to help their community, such as the dog rescue. So check them out, ursaminoroutfitters.com, and enter promo code HikesMikes10 at checkout to receive 10% off your order. And for our four-legged hiking partners, they also have a portable silicone dog bowl and also a sweet over-the-collar dog bandana. Go check them out, ursaminoroutfitters.com, and don't forget to enter promo code HikesMikes10 at checkout to receive 10% off your order.